Good day, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome again to an epic installment of the MMA Brothers. My name, of course, Brad Jones.
My name is Colby McKinley.
And behind the camera, Parker Hennis. And today we are here for our newest installment of the MMA Brothers. This week we will be recapping the final event of 2014 and looking ahead to the ultimate month, that is January 2015.
The time's now.
The time
is now.
It's now, people. So,
the
first
commercials are telling me it. It's on the front of the UFC magazine.
Everywhere.
Everywhere. The time is right now.
Also, before we get into everything, small new change to our format. We will be recording on Sundays and releasing said episodes on Mondays. So tune in now on Mondays to catch a new episode of the MMA Brothers every week. So yeah, let's get into it. You want to start from the top?
Yeah.
Alright. We had our final event, 2014 main event. We saw Machida versus Dalloway. On paper, a lot of people were saying mismatch. Machida, of course, proved that to be correct by taking out Dalloway before he was able to land a single strike in 61 seconds? 62 seconds. So, yeah, that's what it is.
Yeah, I noticed a lot in the commercials leading up to the fight. There was a lot of CB Dalloway, which I think if you're the UFC, you really kind of wanted CB Dalloway to rise up because Machida's already been that number one contender, and CB Dalloway could have been a new guy to market. Would have been a good story, Phoenix kind of guy, raising from not being elite necessarily, pretty mid-level, and you see what Machida does to a non-elite fighter. I mean, that's what he does. Munoz, one strike, done. CB Dalloway, one strike, done.
Yeah, so the next logical step for Machida is already pretty much laid out. It was pretty much laid out before the fight even happened.
Yeah.
And we are just going to go ahead and roll on into Machida versus Luke Rockhold.
More than likely, yeah. Which is a solid-ass matchup. I'm real pumped. I know Luke Rockhold put out a tweet that was essentially, let's do it.
Yeah.
And Machida, I doubt. I mean, maybe a month.
He said he wants to stay active because he didn't get hurt or anything.
Yeah, and maybe a month suspension from the commission.
Machida takes on Rockhold, wins, knocks him out first. What do you do with him? Again, he can beat all these people in the division, but he just gets smashed by the champs.
I wouldn't mind seeing him fight Weidman again.
Really? Is there really that much interest? I mean, yeah. Weidman thoroughly beat him. 4 or 5 rounds, dominantly destroyed Machida. Yeah, but is he really 2 wins away from a rematch? And one of them being Dalloway, who is clearly not an elite fighter.
Okay, yeah, but I mean,
I feel like that's what they're leaning towards. Like that's what they always do with Machida.
Yeah,
always, they're just like, oh, he got one, knocked out Ryan Bader. Let's get him back into that title shot. And I'm like, let him. There's a lot more options right now. You got Yoel Romero.
Well, no, I mean you definitely have more options for a title fight besides Machida, but I don't think he's very far away from a shot. No. I don't think he's far away at all. I think he is one more impressive win away from a possible title or a title eliminator. I would say he's one more impressive fight away from a title eliminator.
I'll give you that. I'd like to see it more like 3 to 4 fights, but yeah. So then, co-main event, we saw the return of former champion Renan Barão versus Mitch Gagnon, which was another, on paper, supposed horrible mismatch. Surprise though, Barão kind of looked like crap, and Mitch Gagnon kind of did pretty well until he got submitted.
Yeah.
Which happened, and he lost. But Barão didn't look good.
Barão looked pretty terrible.
Yeah.
Come back, not terrible. He did what he was supposed to do. He finished the fight in the 3rd round, but he didn't look like he didn't look like championship Barao.
No.
He didn't even really look like pre-championship Barao. So you kind of got to think what the Dillashaw loss did to the guy.
Obviously.
Doesn't look good. Maybe, man, that we were just talking last episode about the stagnation of Cigano, Dos Santos, and
it seems to be Novo and Yao. Besides, outside of Aldo, all of them seem to.
But even Aldo's been the same. You know, like he hasn't added new things to his game.
No.
He's just really good at what he does, and I don't see a lot of improvement out of the camp.
Man, give me Aldo versus McGregor. This could be the year. 2015, we could see Conor McGregor fight Aldo. And Aldo said this week that's the fight he wants. He said he doesn't think that he's earned it, but he's a guy that talks and is big money. He was like, he wants big money. He wants that fight next. That's great. Yeah.
Pause.
And we're back. As we continue to break down this card, third fight on the card, we saw Patrick Cummins take a very dominant but not necessarily all that impressive decision over Antonio Carlos Jr., notable for being on the Season 3 of Ultimate Fighter Brazil. If any diehard fans out there watch that. Yeah, he was dominant, but, it was wrestling,
Yeah, it wasn't,
didn't wow me.
It wasn't crazy. His trainer, when he was on the Rogan Experience, for the life of me, can't think of his name. Anyway, he was on there and he talked about how good Patrick Cummins really is, and it really. So when I saw this match, I was like, wow, Antonio Carlos Jr. is obviously pretty good. So I want to see how Cummins did with him, and he just wrestled him, just kind of held him down.
Yeah, I wrestled him.
And then you had lightweight. You had the Russian Magomedov. Yeah, Magomedov versus it's smaller read, but he got a TKO win. And Eric Silva came back and choked out Mike Rhodes. Put him to sleep in a minute.
Yep.
And the finger injury at middleweight, that was gross.
Yep.
And then lightweight, another guy from the Ultimate Fighter Season 3, De Lima. I'll read his whole name. Marcos Rogerio de Lima. He got a win over Igor Prokrayets, which is pretty impressive because I don't think de Lima was nearly as experienced as Prokrayets.
It was a questionable finish, though.
Yeah. It was a very quick stoppage, but I still thought it was a good one. And then the last one I'll mention is Vitor Miranda, the season runner-up, getting a TKO in the first. So good on you, Ultimate Fighter Season 3. Everybody got a win.
Yep.
All right, so move on to.
Next up, we are going to discuss the epic lawsuit filed this week against the UFC by two former, one current fighters. Two former being John Fitch and Nate Quarry, and the current being Kung Lee, all banded together to file a class action lawsuit against the UFC.
I believe there are others too that are.
There are. They just haven't come forward and revealed their name. And they're supposedly, they're rallying the troops. They're trying to get anyone who may have been disgruntled by the UFC over the years to get interested in this deal and get in on it. Interestingly enough, they revealed that they went to Tito. They were like, Tito, we want you in on this. That would be a big deal. Tito and his management team said they're not interested in being part of it. They would like to become friends with the UFC and be on good standing terms with them, which I thought was very interesting considering how things have played out with them in Bellator. Overall, I'm not that sold on this lawsuit. I don't think it's really going to get any traction.
I don't think it's going to get much traction at all. Although it is getting press.
It's getting press, and it's getting negative press brought to the UFC. But overall, I think there are millions of dollars that they're going to throw behind their very experienced lawyers. Will probably just smash out anything that Nate Quarry and
Apparently,
Fitch bring out.
the law firm that they have for this specializes in whatever type of law that they're getting into, some form of like disenfranchisement. So, this law firm is very experienced in this specific sort of case. So they are the creme de la creme, homie, of these law firms, of these types. And some went on record saying that the UFC wouldn't be able to outspend all these people, the law firm, but I don't know if I can buy that.
I don't know. There's what they're going for isn't necessarily all that clear. I'm not sure what it is exactly they're trying to accomplish.
Just reparations, I think.
They seem not necessarily all that focused and united.
Yeah, I don't.
And I don't think it's going to be an issue at all. I think it's definitely not going to lead to any sort of massive change coming from the UFC or in anything, especially with this Reebok deal about to play out. That's going to be big. That's probably going to be all they're going to be focusing on leading up to it.
Well, that was like kind of when this thing did finally get brought to light. A lot of people said that the Reebok deal was the final straw, and that's why they all decided to come forward.
So yeah, moving on to our next subject. No title shot for Rory McDonald.
Yeah, a lot of fans are kind of upset that the Red King isn't
Rory
getting his
Red
shot.
King. I am also. Now, at first, I really didn't care either way. I was on the fence. But after I watched the MMA Hour. Or no, I watched what's it called?
MMA Beat.
The MMA Beat. Ariel Helwani did his damn job, and he convinced me that Rory definitely deserves that title shot.
Yeah,
he does.
Yeah.
I'm just not that interested in a immediate Johnny Hendricks rematch.
The second one, like, yeah, it was close, but you see the reason why Johnny Hendricks lost it. Because he banked on the judges making the same mistake that they usually make when they count takedown stalls as offense, which these judges didn't in the second fight, and they took the strikes while defending takedowns as the offense, and that's kind of why Lawler got the fight. And so when you judge it like that, it really wasn't that questionable, really.
Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't something that begs for an immediate rematch at all.
Even it reminds me of the Dos Santos Velasquez 3 rematch, but even in that, they both fought someone else before they did that third fight, and that was rushed and was way too quick, and they still had them fight somebody else. Johnny Hendricks is going to have a rough time readjusting his entire life to cut down to weighing less so that he doesn't have such a rough weight cut anymore. Give him some time, let him figure that out, and just let the division keep moving. I don't like when they stall up divisions with stupid immediate rematches and crap. Just let everything keep rolling.
Yeah, no, it stagnates the division, and it really makes it makes your sport and your division look so shallow.
Yeah.
It makes it look so shallow because to the average fan looking at it, they don't have anybody else. They have no one else to throw at this guy for a little bit. It's not that deep.
Think about the lightweight title picture for like 3 years. We saw B.J. Edgar 1, B.J. Edgar 2, Edgar Maynard 2, Edgar Maynard 3. Henderson, Edgar 1, Henderson, Edgar 2. For all those years, just those handful of people just kept rematching for the title.
The money is in the rematch.
Yeah.
But I feel like the more you kind of stretch it out, the more build-up there is when both guys have earned that rematch with each other.
Have had time to improve. Think about
this.
Their next fight, they're going to be at essentially the same skill level they are now, and we're going to get the same result. Give them some time to evolve where one of them can take an edge and become a better fighter than the other one, and we can get a clear, decisive answer as to who is the better fighter.
Yeah.
So I know if they fight again, we're going to have another split decision. Who won? Everyone's going to be decided. So, moving on to our next subject. For the second event in a row, we had a special announcement that was promised us at the beginning of each broadcast, and then towards the beginning of the main card for each one, we got said announcement, and this one was the return of Rampage Jackson.
Yeah, buddy.
He's back.
Rampage is back, and he's here to get that money and throw them bungalows. That's what he's here to do. That's what he wants to do in the UFC, and I want to see him do it in the UFC. He's coming off of the 3 wins, the win over the Mexicutioner,
Joey
Beltran, the win against Mapumbu.
Yeah, that guy. Yeah.
It's Bellator.
We know.
It's Bellator. And then the split decision win over the King Mo fight, which kind of just looked like a repeat of the Rashad Evans fight. Yeah. Okay, so that's all awesome, but there's some complications.
Issues, if you will. Rampage is still under contract with Bellator and did not get out of said Bellator contract before signing a UFC contract. He just did it. So Bellator is still very much interested in keeping what is probably their biggest star, their biggest source of money at the moment, and not letting him return to the UFC. So that will probably turn into somewhat of a legal battle.
I think it's going to turn to another Eddie Alvarez situation.
It depends on how bad Scott Coker wants to hold on to him, which I'm going to say Scott Coker, I'm going to lean more to the side that he's going to, once it escalates to a certain level, he will cave and let him go, rather than Bjorn, who would hold on and essentially just ruined Eddie Alvarez's career.
I mean, he did.
He did. But I think that they're probably going to end up with, we're going to get Rampage back. First fight, give him Shogun in Japan, main event. Easy money.
Oh, man, that would
should be
so
Shogun's
crazy.
retirement fight.
Oh, that would be so crazy. Shogun and
Can also
Rampage
get some
again.
Rampage and... I don't know. Rampage and... who just knocked out Shogun? OSP. That's a pretty good fight.
I don't want those fights for Ramp. That's my only thing. That's my only thing I kind of dislike about the UFC. Right? Other than the Diaz fight, the Diaz Silva fight that's about to happen, the UFC never really does these fun fights. And they are very focused on who wants to be the best, which you should in that. But there's certainly fighters that this guy's not gonna be the world champion. Rampage is not gonna be the world champion again.
It's not gonna get close to that.
So don't
put him in fights with people that are also going for that goal.
Yeah, there should be, like, for instance, why Strikeforce was always so fun, why Bellator is starting to look more like Strikeforce and be a thing that I'm excited about, is because they put up matches that's just like...
They're fun fights.
Fun. It's just fun. Yeah, and like Rampage, I would like to see him against a dude who also wants to throw, which is not OSP. I don't want to watch another UFC fight with Rampage that is him just fending off cage takedowns for 15 minutes.
People in the UFC are smart fighters. They're not gonna do that. No one's just gonna stand in front of Rampage and trade shots
Shogun
with
would.
him.
That's what I'm
Shogun's
saying.
dumb.
Shogun would do that.
But after that, he's gonna eventually have to fight people that are better than him and are gonna beat him, and he's gonna lose 3 straight again, and we're gonna be right back where we were. But we will be here to discuss it when it happens.
Yeah.
Moving on to our final subject. It's time. We are done with 2014. 2015 begins soon. We have our very next event, UFC 182, Jones Cormier. It's going to happen. It's great. It's going to be fantastic. So much hype. Been waiting forever. This is probably one of the best fights they have put together in the past 5 years, if not more. Fight's incredible. All praise to Allah. We also get a co-main event of Miles Jury taking on Cowboy Cerrone. No one else is really going to talk about any of these other fights on the card because Jones and Cormier dwarfs it so much. But there are a lot of legitimately very good fights on this card.
And we're the MMA Brothers.
We are.
So we have to talk about all of them.
And we're going to.
Yeah. All right. So we're going to start off. I'm just gonna say the names and we'll pass on them if we want to talk to them. Okay. Alexis Dufnesne versus. We're not going to talk about that one. Omari. Okay. Omari Akhmedov.
We're going to skip the fight pass prelims.
Yeah, they're gone. Matt's
fight pass prelims, they're guys. They'll be good.
Okay, lightweight.
Boom, we're hitting lightweight.
Evan Dunham's fighting Rodrigo Dam. That's going to be a good one.
It is.
Both guys throw down, and I'm excited to see Evan Dunham try and rebound from his last loss. He seems like a dude who can't really hold on to a streak since 2009. Then heavyweight, we have Sean Jordan and Jared Cannonier. All I know of John Jordan for is being a part of one of the worst fights I've ever watched in my whole life against Czech Congo, the UFC 149. That's all I know him for.
That was one of the worst cards that's ever existed.
I hated that card. That was a bad time.
No.
Then, next fight, we have Marcus Brimage taking on Cody Gabhart. Marcus Brimage comes out with the power scanner with his walkout. Seems like a dope dude. His interviews are fun.
Gets knocked out by Conor McGregor.
Yeah, gets knocked out by Conor McGregor.
His most notable highlight.
Then, you have at lightweight, Danny Castillo looking to rebound from his loss to El Kunkui. I think that's
at
177. Yeah, at 177. I think I said his name right. I don't know. Anyway, he's taking on Paul Fielder, so he doesn't have a Wikipedia. So I'm gonna root for Danny Castillo.
I hate Danny Castillo though.
I don't hate Danny Castillo. I think he puts on fun fights.
No, screw him. I don't know what the deal is with him, but I have always hated Danny Castillo.
Damn.
I hope the worst for him and everything.
Oh no. Okay. Well.
So. Down with Danny Castillo.
Then
First
we have
beef
the
started.
Main card. Then we have the main card. Welterweight. We have Hector Lombard taking on Josh Berkman in his UFC return. I'm kind of excited for this. I want to see what Josh Berkman can do.
I'm ready to see Berkman get thrown around by Lombard for a round before he gets tired.
That's very possible that would be his strategy. But let's see if he has a good UFC return. And then in the flyweight division, we have Kyoji Horiguchi taking on Luis Gaudinot in the flyweight division.
Gaudinot's a beast.
That's a solid matchup. That's going to be fun. Horiguchi is one of these new Japanese fighters that's coming out. One of the ones with one of the Japanese fighters with a lot of hype just lost in the Machida Dalloway prelims, so it kind of takes some of the sails out of that ship. Okay, so then at middleweight we have a really fun matchup, in my opinion, of Brad Tavares and Nate Marquardt.
Hate Nate Marquardt. I'm ready for him to get knocked out.
That's a good ass fight, though.
It
man.
is a good fight.
It's Nate Marquardt isn't as good as he used to be. Kind of 185. He's kind of got a renewed energy about him, but he's not as sharp. And Tavares he's coming. He just lost, right?
Mm-hmm.
He lost to.
Tim Bosch.
He lost to Tim Bosch, yeah. So he's looking to come back, and I think that's a good guy to kind of test the current waters of Brad Tavares against Nate Marquardt.
Yeah. And
takes Marquardt's, test
Status.
him. Yeah. And then
Co-main
event, we got Donald Cowboy Cerrone taking on Miles Jury.
Cerrone is great. I mean, he's one of my favorite fighters ever. Just his mentality. I'm not sure how they license him to fight like every 2 months, because they just do it, and he does, and he fights constantly. I've always paid attention to Miles Jury. I mean, he's undefeated. Watched his career, but I never really paid attention to his pre-fight stuff until leading up to this fight. Don't like him. He kind of comes across as a dick. Don't like that at all. I hope for his second round head kick knockout at the hands of Cerrone. I'm going to go with that.
I think he seems more the attitude of a young guy who's never lost.
Yeah.
Like he will be
He
vastly...
says boasty things such as,
I mean,
my style makes fighters look silly.
He's never had someone make him look bad yet, and I think that if Cerrone is on, it's gonna not be a good time for Miles Jury. Even though Miles Jury he's fast, he's able to mix everything together pretty well, and against someone like Cerrone, when Cerrone has those off performances, there's a universe in which Miles Jury dances around a lackadaisical Donald Cerrone. I can see that. Because it happens often in big fights for Cerrone. So
Not that often. Not that. If you think about it, not that often.
In every title eliminator. In every
Yeah.
I mean,
but that's only 2 fights out of like the 12. In between each one of those, he whoops like 4 asses.
But that's the thing. Is he whoops asses until there's something big on the line.
But there isn't anything big on the line here. This isn't for a title shot. No one's going to be fighting outside of the title for all of next year. That title's locked up.
Yeah, that's true.
Nothing is in line here.
So I guess they're just fighting.
This is just fighting.
Oh God, man, Cerrone just
keeps them coming. Just take them out.
It just sucks when guys like that lose, and then they have to start that climb back.
But he doesn't even care because he's not here for the climb. He is here for strictly the money, and he is making it. That man pulls bonuses like it ain't nothing.
You got the 2014 GDP award.
Got it.
I'm getting that paper.
Getting that bread.
Yeah, GDB.
Stack it on your head.
Yeah, GDB.
Give it to your children. You ain't got none, though.
Nah, you ain't got no children.
So then...
Brittany Palmer, though.
He did take Brittany. He just got engaged. But he did date
Brittany Palmer.
I wish it would have been Brittany Palmer. It was another hot chick, though.
It wasn't Brittany Palmer. Then the main
John
event.
Jones, Daniel Cormier, they're going to fight. Whoa! It's going to be great.
I'm super pumped.
Everyone should be pumped because it's fantastic. Get excited right now. Just turn up when you're watching this.
This sport, this is what it's all about.
This is why
the best
we're
in the
here.
world. This is one of those matchups that reminds you what the UFC can still offer.
This is a peak. This is a pinnacle fight.
To use it, like this is
a man who, if Cain Velasquez didn't exist, would probably be the heavyweight champion, taking on who is the greatest fighter on the planet right now. And Cormier is 15-0, an Olympic wrestler. John is technically 21-0.
Fall asleep, at 8, and I don't wake up again until the next day. That day, and I wake up and someone's like, Diaz just sort of beat Anderson Silva. I would be like, what? But I wouldn't be like, what? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I got that.
You know what I mean?
So yeah, that's what we got, people. Another week down, many more weeks to come. Tune in next Monday As we mentioned before, we will now be recording on Sundays, posting on Mondays. Tune in right here on
MMALatestNews.com.
next week, everyone.